Uh, so as you can tell by the title of this live video, they apologized, and it's exactly what I told you it was gonna be. I told you it was gonna be on Instagram. I told you it was gonna be on Instagram. I thought it was a nice touch that they put the apology on Shiny's Instagram, as well as Key and Tameen both putting apologies on their Instagrams. But yeah, they apologized, and I knew that was gonna happen because girl, tell Lil this time. They realize international fans buy a lot of albums. We ship albums to ourselves. Therefore, they had to say something if they wanted us to continue to buy albums. Uh, Now onto a selfish reason for me to talk to you right now. Um, some of you might follow me on Twitter. I don't really do a lot of stuff on Twitter. Like I'm on Twitter almost every day, but like I don't do a lot of original posts. Mostly I just retweet a lot of stuff and like repost a lot of stuff. But I had reposted, there was a Shawwall account that I really, really like, and they were getting a lot of attacks because they had called out the fact that this was a colorist statement and it was hurtful as a person of color. And I reposted or tweet quoted their post and said, I think it's really shitty that people are so mad at OP. They did nothing wrong. They just called out something, and it's not their fault that aunties latched onto this. Well, somebody named Sayan, Saianne, whatever. Somebody named Sayan kept going back and forth with me. When I tell you going back and forth with me, I mean 20 plus tweets. 20 plus tweets. And you know what? I've had time the last couple of days to respond because I don't have nothing better to do right now. And to the point that they were like, there's something wrong with you. You live as a victim. You're not empathetic. You're calling all Koreans racist, blah, 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 blah. Listen, I didn't call all Koreans racist. I said that every country in the world is racist, number one, because it's true. And that's historic. I should explain that because some people are like, I'm not racist. Girl, stop. I'm talking every country. And that means forms of government. It means historically. It means systems of war and oppression. Back when there were just cave people were racist. You know why? Because people had to justify in their mind why it was they could treat other people worse. And so they would come up with these ranking systems, whether it was class, whether it was race, whether it was color. All forms of bigotry are used to enforce what I like to think of as a system of power consumption. So, if a government decides that a country and the race of people in that country are less than them, it justifies the reason why they can go into that country and they can treat that country poorly because those people are lower than them. If it is slavery, for instance, in the United States, it was okay to treat black people a certain way because by virtue of them being black, they were lesser than. And they would actually use the Bible to quote as to why it was supported. Every country has had that. Koreans don't like the Japanese. Korean treat Thai people like they're dirty. The way that Korean fans have treated Lisa from Blackpink over the years already lets you know Korea is not the perfect utopia some fans like to believe that it is. The more you consume Korean media and the more you consume Korean media that is not K dramas, K pop, anything that's scripted, I should say. But if you actually consume Korean media, what real people in Korea are saying, you realize there's a lot of really ugly opinions out there. Just like in America, there are a lot of really ugly opinions here. There are a lot of really ugly opinions in Europe. There's a lot of really ugly opinions coming out of Africa. There's a lot of really ugly opinions coming out of the entire world. The entire world has got problems. But I say all that to say, I told this person the joke that Key and Taman made is a Korean joke because they were like, oh, well, this person, it was wrong for them to put this out there because it was a private conversation and she took a private conversation and an inside joke and made it a big deal. Listen, that's not an inside joke. Talking about you're so dark that I can't see you in a dark room, that's not an inside joke. Literally, years ago, Rapmon made the exact same joke about Taeyong from BTS, and he did it in front of like a crew of people in Australia. I remember this very well because it's like the first big scandal BTS had besides the condoms. And I remember he said it in English. He's like, the first time I met him, I didn't even see him because the room was dark and he disappeared. And at the time, because Rapmon, I guess, didn't realize the rest of the world doesn't share the same sense of humor that Koreans do, they got a lot of backlash for it. It is a standard Korean joke. always has been. Koreans love blackface. They always have. I think a member, I think Kikwan from Beast highlight got in trouble behind blackface. There's so Mama Moo got in trouble. Hwasa got in trouble for singing the N word because she did a Beyonce cover, and I think it was like a remix or something that the original song didn't have the N word, but the remix one did. So she sang the N word. Like, all of them get in trouble for colorism, racism, this misogyny. It's a thing. It is a thing because all of these people, just like myself, we're kind of products of the environment that we're grown up in. The reason I think certain things are wrong is because the climate I grew up in says that they are wrong. The reason I think certain things are right is because the climate I grew up in tell me that's right. I have a lot of Western morals that don't necessarily translate to every place in the world. I'm cognizant of that. And there are some things that I just don't feel comfortable speaking on because I know it's not my place, because it's not my culture, and I didn't grow up with it. However, the colorism in Korea does need to be spoken about because, again, these are people that are operating on an international plane. They broadcast in an international way that wasn't a Korean only broadcast. And also, colorism is wrong in Korea. There is a there's a Netflix show, it's a dating show, and there was a controversy about the show because a lot of the male contestants on this dating show said that they liked women who had white skin. And it was a controversy because people are like, oh, that sounds really colorist. So again, colorism in Korea, it's a thing, always has been. Uh, there's a channel on YouTube, I think it's called Korea Jong Daily, and they had a panel of people discussing these remarks and why it was controversial and how they think things are in Korea. And one of the things that was said by the Korean moderators on this panel was that in Korea, people associate dark skin with certain personality traits and certain behavior and being a certain type of person. So saying you're getting darker, already in Korea, there is a base there for saying that darker people are poorer people. So there's classism involved in this. Darker people are not as educated. Darker people are not as trustworthy. Darker people are bad people. They're dirty, even hygienically. And so, yeah, it's something that even in Korea, it's used to mock, make fun of, and dismiss somebody. And I think Taemin and Key in the back of their minds know that, but they figured because I'm joking with you, then that takes the sting out of what I'm saying. But the historic basis for that statement is still there. And I think having been called out by fans, because I know a lot of fans said they were going to go on Bubble and directly message both Key and Taemin, I think being called out by the fans, they realize it may be a joke to you, but the source of that joke is a really hurtful place, and it's a place that's used to mock and discriminate against people. Also, let me just say this. Lastly, I'm so glad that even though the apology was on the Shiny main page and then both Key and Taemin put it on their pages, actually, I want to say that Key put it as an Instagram story, so it's probably going to go away soon. Shiny's main page did the same thing. That's kind of shady on their part. Uh, I'm glad they didn't make Minho post anything. I'm glad they did not make Minho go online and be like, hey, they were just kidding. They didn't mean it. Let's all be friends. I'm glad they didn't make the person who was the target of these remarks have to go on there and vouch for his friends because his friends were wrong. And it would have really made it seem like they want to sweep it under the rug if they had made Minho come out and make a statement. And so these apologies are going to disappear pretty soon. And I think you should screenshot them while you can because, like I said, they're going to disappear pretty soon. But things went about how I expected them to go and will continue to be so. I don't know if Taemin and Key really learned anything. Even though Taemin's pretty smart, he might actually have learned something. But at the same time, things happen the way they were supposed to, the way I said they would happen, the way that they've always happened. And I'm just really pleased by the fact that some things in this world are actually predictable. Evie says the thing that they should have known since their label mates have gotten in trouble for this before, EXO members talking about Kaya's skin. Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a PR booklet for this exact situation. All they did was take the page out of the PR booklet and follow the steps. So it is what it is. But thank you guys for following this tale. They apologized. I guess that's the end of story. They'll never mention it again, I'm certain. And again, if you're deciding that you're not going to support Shiny anymore because of statements made by Taman and Key, that is your business. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're right. I'm saying you, as a person who may have been affected, however you were affected, have the right to govern yourself accordingly. I will never say, oh wow, that's a shitty reason to quit following Shiny, because I don't know your past. I don't know what you deal with. I don't know what struggles you've been through. And this may have been a statement too far. This may have been something that cut you so to the core that there's no recovering from it. Every time you see them, you'll be thinking about this. And if that's the case, you need to do what's best for you. And if you're somebody who's like, well, because they apologized, it's over for me, I'm going to continue to follow Shiny, you can do that as well. You're spending your money. You're not spending my money, so do what you want to do. But when it comes to the idea that everyone has to take some prescribed stance on this and that we all need to take the same stance, that's not the case. People are allowed to decide what's best for them. And as fans, we need to allow people to make their own decisions instead of telling people, no, this is how you're supposed to act. No. I'm so sick of Shawas getting fucking mad and irate at each other because you're not acting the way a fan is supposed to act. Girl, get off my fucking nuts. Anyway, thank you for watching. Appreciate it.